Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 76th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jayden.
Hello.
And the ASMR enthusiast, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello. I should have whispered that, but I didn't.
No, yeah. Oh, you really should have. Okay. You can do it next time, though. Keep it in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Catch Me If You Can, which opened in the US on the 25th of December 2002. Back-to-back Christmas Day release movies, ladies and gentlemen. Get hyped. I can't believe it.
Right, what did we do last week?
Slumdog released on Christmas Day too.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm glad everyone else is excited about that. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It is a crime biography, and the synopsis tells us, barely 21 yet, Frank is a skilled forger who has passed as a doctor, lawyer, and pilot. FBI agent Carl becomes obsessed with tracking down the con man, who only revels in the pursuit. Cool. Jayden, Catch Me If You Can. Was this your first time watching it? What did you think?
No, this is my second time watching it. I don't know, I watched it relatively recently, like a year ago, I'd say. Maybe a bit more than that. So I was really kind of dreading a rewatch because I just didn't want to go, revisit it so soon, although I quite liked it. But I was surprised by how much of a good time I had rewatching it. I was thoroughly engaged and enjoyed myself, despite like remembering all the plot beats. But I guess that speaks to how kind of just fun and engaging this movie is.
Yeah, 100%. What about you, Fitzy?
I've seen a lot of this film actually more than I thought, but it's a good film. Another good Spielberg film to add to the list of good Spielberg films we've done on the show.
To add to Jayden's list of mediocre ones.
Oh yeah. Oh, this would probably be the top of Jayden's list, wouldn't it? Or you guys' list. But I think it's really fun. I think it's sells the innocent performance really well, and the score and lighting is always great with Spielberg. As always, is great with Spielberg. So yeah, it's a good time.
It's a really good time, man. I think this movie's awesome. For me, it is top tier Spielberg. It's probably the perfect story for his style of filmmaking. It's great performances. It's genuinely funnier and wittier than a lot of comedies I've seen, and it totally flies by. I wasn't expecting to like it this much on a second time. It's one of those movies where I watched it a few years ago and liked it, and it's like, it's just a cool movie, whatever. And then, but I was sort of taken aback by how much I liked it, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I think it's a terrific movie that everyone can enjoy, honestly. But I mean, that's a good question, Jane. I mean, where would it rank in your Spielberg discussion? Pretty high.
Yeah, it used to be number one. Probably still is at one or two. Tintin's good competition, but actually I have a bias for Tintin, I guess. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, this is definitely like one of his strongest, in my opinion.
You always bring up Tintin, and I always forget about it because I just don't picture him directing like a CG movie. But shout out right off the bat to the opening score and animated sequence. I thought it was great. It gives me. I'm not a film history connoisseur, but it gave me classical sort of vibes, and the John Williams score is absolutely terrific in this movie.
How classical do you place it? Just curious.
I picture it. I want to know how wrong I am from you, Jen. I picture it as like a 60s thing.
Well, I mean, like, given the time period, it kind of gives it away that it is 60s, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's really true.
It's kind of a stupid question on my behalf because it's all set in the 60s, but yeah, okay,
That's correct? Good,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world. But yeah, I just love the vibe of it. And I mean, like, the animated sequence obviously, like, gives away, it, like, spoils the movie, I guess, but not really, it's not that big of a deal. But it's a really cool sequence. I love it. And I'm trying to think back to these other Spielberg movies we've done. I think they all had John Williams scores, if I'm not mistaken, and I think they were sort of hit or miss. Like, I don't really like War of the Worlds. Was that a score I remembered? I don't know. But this score stood out to me, I think, and really sort of captures the John Williams magic I love, as opposed to, he's done a lot of films, and some are some of the best ever, and then some are like, whatever, that's sort of forgettable. So I think this is terrific all the way through. That main theme is just really fun and quirky, and just captures the sort of whimsical sort of nature of this pursuit that we're on. I think this movie's. I said it's really funny, it's really entertaining, but I think it's pretty solid thematically too, and it's got an emotional core to it that isn't anything too complex, but it's just enough to really elevate the movie, I think, and that's all got to do with, of course, Leo selling Frank's loneliness in the film, and he sort of struggle to live honestly that he has to deal with, and that of course comes around towards the end of the movie. But it all kicking off with, I love pretty much everyone in this movie. Christopher, how do you is it Walken?
Yeah.
I sound like the biggest dumbass asking.
Well, how else would you pronounce it?
Like Walk? Maybe you say Walken?
Walken? Nah.
You say Walken. It's like, okay, cool. He's walking. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. He's walking. I feel like he's such a revered actor that I've just seen so little of, to be honest. I don't know when I've seen him other than this movie, but
Pulp
he's really
Fiction.
great. Is he in Pulp Fiction?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's in Click, which you watched recently.
He is. Good point. That was funny, actually. But I think his chemistry with Leo is great. And, really, the main thing Leo deals with in this movie, Frank is his name, of course. Or that sort of is the inciting event for him becoming a fraud in the way that he does, is his parents splitting up. And I think that's such a simple thing that I really buy, that he just sort of can't deal with the fact that his parents have split up. And throughout the entire movie, I love the letters he writes to his dad, and he tries to get back in contact with them. It just does everything he possibly can to get them back together. And it's sort of sad. It's sort of, I feel for him. And then that scene at the end of the movie is so good when he goes back to the mum's new family with that other dick bag. And he's like, looks through the window and stuff. It's just, I don't know, all that stuff. It's so simple. I think the actors sell it all really well. They have really good chemistry. Every scene that Leo and Christopher have together is great.
No, I think I agree that he does sell the sadness. Or just what the hell was that?
I don't know.
Was that like? Can you hear my phone vibrating? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was then.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, it's. I tried to put it on a soft surface to minimize that, but I guess.
Okay. Not. It's all right. It's fine.
Oh yeah, he's really good as like a teenager. Yeah, he really like has some teenage like facial expressions that he sells really well. It is a sad film with the family and stuff. I agree there. Yeah,
totally. I mean, I totally buy him as a 17-year-old, which is funny. I don't know, Leo. I don't know how old he actually is at this point, but I totally agree with that. He does look pretty young, which is ironic because I read in the trivia that the real Frank, what's his face, Abagnale Jr. was sort of known apparently for looking really old, like at a young age. So that's pretty weird. But I enjoy the irony there. But
well, you'd like that would be a big advantage if you're gonna do all this looking older. Yeah, like absolutely. If you're taller and older, definitely. If you look tall, if you are taller and you look older, then you're going to be seen as, more likely to be a pilot or whatever, or a doctor.
Of course. Yeah, but all the crazy shit he does, which is always fun. But for in real life, I feel like it adds to the movie though that Leo's young, because the audience is sort of like every time he's having these interactions with. Like when he walks into the plane for the first time and he's like telling them he's a co-pilot, and it's like, I don't know if anyone would really buy this looking at you, bro, but they do. So I don't know.
Well, I think that's how it works, because I think like when he's in his roles, he does look older, but like when he's like just by himself, he does seem more kid-like, Because like when he's at the doctor's, when he's practicing law, it's a bit more comedic and childlike, I guess, but like I feel like when he needed to be, he did look that bit, and I think that's why he's so great in this role that he could kind of play both. I mean, I think this is one of his best performances, like just truly. So yeah,
Yeah, totally. The physicality of him, whenever he's in his pilot uniform, he looks great, and yeah, he totally owns that. I love all the conversations. I love the other thematic through line with the loneliness and the family stuff, but also, and it's of course fundamentally linked to it, but everything to do with being honest, and not lying. So at the end of the day, the movie's just about don't lie, all right? But I love something not like that, but it's really, I don't know, I find it really great, all the conversations he has with his dad. I like that it's a recurring thread that he continues writing those letters to his dad, but it keeps like making out in the letter that everything he's doing is totally normal. Like what he writes, like, I got a night job at the hospital. He's like trying to downplay how dodgy he's totally been with everything. But those conversations he has with his dad about, an honest man has nothing to worry about, all that sort of stuff. And then Frank meets him for coffee and he like buys him a car and all this shit. And then Christopher Walken's like, I'm taking the train home, bro. But I mean, Fitzy, like it can't, thinking about the movie, these themes and stuff, it can't be a coincidence that Frank Senior's his name, right? Christopher's name? Walken's name. It can't be a coincidence that he died. They said he died going to catch a train. He died walking up. He had like a heart attack walking up the stairs or something at the train station.
Yeah,
I noticed that. I just felt, because earlier in the movie, they make a point of saying, I'm going to catch the train home instead of driving your new car home. I feel like there's something there. It's like, and I like that there's this nuance here. I feel like maybe it's just as simple as, he died an honest man. He took the train every day. He had everything taken away from him by the IRS, his whole business, his income and everything. That's sort of what split the family apart in the first place. But despite that, he sort of never cheated to get ahead like Leo does. He still takes the train, and that's how he died.
Wasn't the thing that he wasn't that honest of a man?
I sort of interpreted it as, because you're right.
Because Leo says, just tell me to come home and I'll stop now. And he says, you can't stop, you have to keep on going, or like something like that. Doesn't he say like that, something like that? Doesn't he encourage him?
Wow. I
And
didn't
like,
really
isn't
get
the whole
from
thing
him.
that like he's kind of like he's honorable but dishonest? Like, isn't that kind of his thing?
That's interesting. I didn't really get that, because you're right. I was trying to piece it together with his dad is sort of the one who teaches him how to be shady in the first place. When he was putting on the show for the bank at the start, when he, made Leo pretend he was like a limousine driver, and
Yeah.
when he made that, put that whole show on, that is that element to it, which is interesting. I sort of, I guess, I didn't interpret it that way. I sort of took it as like, sure, he was doing those things, but he remained honorable where Leo wasn't, and those conversations they have about, being honest and stuff. But that is a good point. I don't know where that fits into it otherwise, because I feel like him dying to catch a train is a very deliberate line. So I'm just trying to, piece together that with what you're saying, if that makes sense. So I feel like that would only work if
that's something I picked up on as well, but like the only reason he rejects the car is because he's already under investigation. So like,
true.
Maybe it's keeping up that act. I don't know.
Well, yeah, maybe it's like he's learned the hard way, like it's not necessarily like, I'll look at Christopher Walken, he's amazing, he's honest. Like, he sort of made these mistakes himself and look where he ended up, like he did have everything taken away from him.
Yeah.
As a result. But that's sort of to an extent, the opposite of what I was saying, which that also makes a ton of sense too. And that also supports the movie thematically. Either way, whether it's a criticism of Christopher Walken or a support of him, in terms of him living honestly at different times in his life, either way, it's still very much clear that at the end of the day, you can't cheat to get ahead in life, because you're just going to live up. Leo has a ton of money, good for him.
Like, even like Frank, like Leo's character, he still does end up ahead in life in his position at the FBI. And like at the movie tells us, he like earns like $7 million. Not like he earns like 7-figure like payouts or some shit like that because of his help. So I mean, like, technically everything the movie says about cheating to get ahead is false, because like Leo's character does very much get ahead.
Sure, but he only gets ahead. I get what you're saying, and that part he only went down that path after he did the shady shit in the first place. That's sort of the case for everyone in life, though. You do what you did, but
What's your shady shit?
Oh, I'm not going to disclose that here, but
it's not past you
yet. No, it's still to come. But I think it's more on a ethical level, if that makes sense. I think by the time he gets to the FBI, I enjoy the scenes with his first week there, where he like clearly doesn't want to be there at all the first week, and then he comes back, and he sort of owns up to it. I think that's sort of his internal, as opposed to the external, his internal transformation of, I'm owning up to what I did. I'm going to serve my time here. I came back after Tom Hanks, chased me down the hallway, and me owning up to be honest in that sense, in that moment in time, is what ultimately did lead to my success in the FBI, if you know what I mean. You make a good point, though. That is sort of a narrow. I think that makes sense to me personally, anyway. But one came before the other, right? Like to get to that place in the first place, he did what he did for sure. He did the dodgy shit. I guess the movie's making the case that, of course, if he didn't come back, he never would have had the chance to have that success that we get at the end there in the blurb. So I don't know if it's necessarily inconsistent, but do you guys like Tom Hanks? Oh, actually, you know what? Forget. Jayden, did you like Tom Hanks? I should be asking you.
Nothing special. Could have replaced him with anyone else, but he's just such a. I don't know. He's not a. He has this like connotation around him of like being this brilliant actor, but like whenever I see him, like there's just, he feels like a joke almost, like which is too disrespectful. Like it is like, I don't feel that harshly against him that I think he's a joke, but like it just doesn't feel like he's a serious actor almost to me, which is I know it goes against a lot of his roles, Saving Private Ryan, whatever, but like he just doesn't feel like he has this tone to carry out. He doesn't feel like a serious actor to me almost, but like I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. Yeah,
he doesn't have the gravitas of someone like a Leo. I sort of get it. I disagree with you. I like Tom Hanks a lot. I think he's really good in this movie.
Yeah, I think
especially
good,
you wouldn't rave.
No,
I especially enjoyed his I don't know what accent that is. I feel like he was doing that like 30s film narrator voice, if for lack of a better term, whatever accent he was doing. I enjoyed him doing an accent, because I don't think I've used to Tom Hanks doing any sort of accent. He's just Tom Hanks, but yeah, I thought he was really fun as the sort of straight no BS agent, and I think he has a ton of funny lines and comedic moments. He's a really good comedic actor, which is something I don't know if he's. Actually, to be fair, he's probably fairly well appreciated for that, actually. He's fairly well appreciated for everything to Jay. I think that's what Jayden's saying. But I don't know. Did you like Tom Hanks, Fitzy? Did he stand out to you? Or was he just more Tom Hanks? Are you more on Jayden's side?
Yeah, I like Tom Hanks. It's kind of weird that he's in this role because, I don't know, he's like, he usually plays very, I guess, warm characters or like nice characters, but I don't know, he's kind of cold and very hard character. He kind of comes around to Leo, but he is still like not really. He's not the typical Tom Cruise role, really. I mean, not Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks.
He's definitely not the typical Tom Cruise role.
Yeah.
No, that's totally true. I really like the scene when I just love the banter with like those other dorks, like those other FBI dudes that he's hanging out with, and when they're in the car. That's all. Oh, I don't know. It's all good stuff. When he he asked him to tell him a joke, and he can't tell on. He just tells him to fuck off. That was funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah.
Was that sarcasm?
No, I mean it was funny, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Funny.
Well, you didn't like him at the laundromat?
Oh, that was okay.
Oh, I thought that was really funny. Mainly because I get it. Like, it's not the most original thing. At the laundromat, your clothes get messed up, but The way it was intercut with what Leo was doing, I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I
it
enjoyed
was
that.
a funny contrast.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I don't know. I just found this movie really funny. Shout out to just like little lines here and there. I feel like whoever wrote this was on their ball with just like very careful with their dialogue. Like when Leo's confessing everything to Brenda, like, and he's saying, I'm not a doctor, I'm not this, I'm not that," and like her only response is, "Wait, you're not a Lutheran?" I thought that was good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks is great. For those who don't know, the main inspiration for the character is fake. The character Carl Hanratty did not exist. He's based on a real dude named Joe Shear, and but Tom Hanks got to meet this guy. So apparently he's still sort of pretty spot on to the real person, according to the real Frank Abagnale. So I don't really know why they bothered changing the name, to be honest. But and of course, tying everything together, guys. The loneliness themes. Tom Hanks. I really like the recurring Christmas Eve conversations they have every year on the phone. It's a great recurring thing. Leo's lonely, we get it. He reaches out to the only person he really knows. But, of course, the real Frank Abagnale took issue with that because the trivia is he certainly didn't call them every Christmas. Frank Abagnale himself points out this flawed logic. Why would I do that? I didn't want the FBI to know where I was. Wow. What's some other great shit in this movie? That whole scene. I mean, I feel like it's an iconic scene, but that scene at the airport with the air hostesses is great. Top tier shit.
Is it?
Oh yeah, dude. I love that shit. Well, you think it's all right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was on par to the rest of it. I don't think there's anything stand out. What made it so special?
Oh, just everything. Yeah, just Leo's charisma. Like the over the topness of like obviously like none of the FBI agents like noticing he's clearly standing right there in the middle of them at all. The music choice, the soundtrack there, it was just hype. It was great. And you just know.
Can you tell me who sang that song for bonus points?
Oh, geez,
Yeah,
I had no idea. Was it like I don't know? Was it that? What was his face? Frank Sinatra? Was it that guy?
Yeah, well done. You got
Good job.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Got that one.
I'm so proud of myself. I don't know, man. Just everything about it. I don't know. It screams iconic to me. Like I think there's a reason that's sort of the scene that's most represented on the poster. You know, with them like chasing each other in the pilot gear and stuff. It's a lot of. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I mean, and sort of in that same vein, I really love the scene when they actually meet for the first time, and Frank like tricks Tom Hanks into thinking that he's an FBI agent on the fly. But it's the performances and the chemistry in that scene that totally owns it. It's really good. It's really funny because you think Leo's totally screwed, and then he pulls that out of his ass, and he's really convincing. And Tom Hanks is getting all flustered about this agent guy's in the room with him. It's really great. And then, oh my god, the timing with it, with the other old blind dude walking out to the car, that was terrific.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite scene, I think.
I mean, we talked about who else is there. Amy Adams is in this movie, surprisingly. I forgot about that. I like Martin Sheen whenever he turns up.
I don't like Martin Sheen.
Whoa. Expound.
Nah. I just don't like the scenes with Martin Sheen at the house. They're just too cheesy for me. And the prostitute scene. Those are the two bits I don't really enjoy.
Prostitute?
So I don't know what the prostitute scene is. Sorry, I don't recall.
Do you mean the model?
Oh yeah, the model. But yeah.
That's a little
right.
insight into Liam's brain of how he views women.
What do you mean? He gave her money.
Yeah, but she knew that she could take she could take money from him. That wasn't because she was, you know.
I mean, I sort of understand why you'd say that. To be fair, yeah, right.
That's a literal definition, but okay.
But she's not. She's just exploiting him. It's not a profession.
It could be.
But it was prostitution, even though she's not a prostitute, right?
Isn't she an ex-model? I thought she was an ex-model.
I don't know.
Either way, though. No, I actually get that. That scene was sort of awkward. But yeah. Oh, the Martin Sheen scenes. Yeah. Do you mean like when they're like talking at the dinner table and stuff, and Leo has to keep lying? Is it that sort of thing?
Yeah, just like everything at the house, and like the scene when him and the wife are like doing the dishes, and they're like swaying side to side.
That's what happy people do, apparently,
It's
according to movies.
Yeah, it's cheesy.
But he was longing that for his own family, Fitzy. You clearly didn't get it, you know?
No, I got it.
Fuck, imagine being too
Yeah,
strict for a Steven Spielberg movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you also didn't understand that scene, Fitzy, of course, when they're all sitting together on the couch and they're all like laughing and singing at the TV, and Leo's just sort of sitting there awkwardly in the middle. That was pretty hard to
like
understand,
a
I
happy
think.
family.
I think it's really interesting the path that Leo's character went down, because like he was ready to stop, but then when he was forced to run, but then when he ran, he kept on going with his fraud. But like, had he stopped, had he just gone to Europe and stopped, then he would have been fine. You know, there would have been no reason to pursue him. He had enough money to live off. You know, so it's interesting that he continued down that path. To me,
in terms of what, like, he kept digging himself deeper with new professions, and when he went to the hospital and stuff, like,
no,
because at that point you're right.
No, and like after he, like, towards the end of the movie, like when he's in France, like, had he just fucked off to France and just like done nothing and just like lived off his wealth that he brought with him, you know, he'd be fine.
Oh, sure.
But then he kept on, you know, committing fraud, so, and like that's what drove them to find him or whatever. So like,
he was just he was just a dumbass for still doing the checks thing over in France.
Oh, yeah. He would have found it, maybe just found it fun though.
but I think by showing that he's not having fun anymore, like he's like at a point of insanity almost when like Tom Hanks catches up with him, where like
he was. That's true.
You know, it's a tragedy, and I feel like like I don't know what his flaw is, like, you know, I don't know what the fatal flaw is, but like, you know, it's a tragedy in that sense that he kept on going, and like I don't know what drove him, you know, because it doesn't seem like greed, but it doesn't.
No.
It you know, like I just don't know what else.
I think he was trying to fill that void in his, like, he was trying to fill the void of stability in his life, I think, you know, like he's trying to replace as we just joked about, the film isn't subtle in its idea of Leo wanting a family and that stability there. I think he's just trying to fill that void that he has with, you know, things that people sort of generally perceive as things they dream of having, like, you know, money and whatever. You know, big house, all that sort of shit. And I just think at the end of the day, it doesn't really fulfill him. That's sort of all. I think that would answer that. Oh, who are you? What the hell? I'm sorry. So I just heard this voice from directly behind me, and it was this man outside, and I don't know who he was. And now he's gone. He walked off. I assume he might be a delivery person, but he also didn't really look like one, so I don't know what just happened. I'll have to find it.
Deliveries on Saturday?
That's also a great point. He's definitely not a delivery man. That was creepy. So, in terms of talent for this movie, you know, I'll get into the trivia a bit. It was all over the place for a while. You know, Spielberg wasn't originally attached to direct, but when he was, he originally sort of wanted Johnny Depp as the main character. And maybe to your interest, Fitzy, James Gandolfini was going to be the Tom Hanks role in this movie, but due to delays and other things, I think he had to go back and shoot The Sopranos, and they got old mate Tom Hanks up in here. So, I mean, that's interesting. I can't really, like, picturing an alternate version of this with James Gandolfini and Johnny Depp is kind of weird, to be honest.
I think Gandolfini would have been great in the role that Tom Hanks is in. I've only seen him in one season of Sopranos, but like I could definitely imagine him doing it, and I think that he would do it. You know, when I was talking about like the fact that Tom Hanks is replaceable, I think Gandolfini would have made it that it was like he would have made that it was his own role.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I mean, I love Tom Hanks in the movie. I have no doubt that James Gandolfini would be great too. It's just sort of weird picturing it though, you know, like I do really think these actors own their characters. So it's sort of weird, yeah. But it's cool. It's cool.
I mean, I don't think Leo is as replaceable. I don't think it would be the same if Johnny Depp was. Yeah.
I really like oh, this is such a dumb thing. I'm so sorry. I've just got to say it though. When the two FBI dudes, when they go and visit with Tom Hanks, Leo's mum, and she says, what does she say? She says like, "I'm making a cake" or something, and the dude just gives like a little thumbs up to the other guy. It's great. Love that.
Oh, that's why you did the thumbs up. I remember the thumbs up. I don't remember
It's such a dumb little thing. I love that they included that. Like the dude just like super stoked that there's going to be cake. That'd be me for sure. But of course, I really also love the. I guess you could call it. I mean, the scene in France is sort of the climactic scene in the traditional sense, but I guess an alternate climactic scene in the movie is when Tom Hanks is sort of chasing Leo down the hallway of the airport there. And you get that really long one take that's really cool. And I just love everything that's said there, you know. They talk to each other. It's easier to live the lie. All these really good dialogue, little lines here that I think is really solid, which of course end up leading Frank back. I think the ending of the movie, all that stuff leading up to Tom Hanks asking, you know, if you cheated the bar exam, or how did you cheat the bar exam in Louisiana, which is another recurring sort of question in the film. And Leo just says, I didn't. I studied for 2 weeks. And it's like, that's cool. You know, that's something that he did honestly. It's, you know, the movie sort of presents it as one of the few things he did honestly during that time. But it's not extravagant. You know, it's not some crazy story that Tom Cruise was hoping for like the rest of this movie is. You know, it's not some crazy, how did he do this con artist thing? It's just the truth. It's simple.
And it's really going to speak to the level of like the, you know, like how, like the quality of like the practice over in Louisiana if he can study for 2 weeks and pass. I mean, like, and I'm sure he wasn't like reading books. I'm sure he was just watching TV and just like, I don't know, like that's still insane. I mean, like that's the craziest thing he did.
That's true. I mean, he is intelligent. I don't know. I feel like maybe at that time. I don't know anything about the bar exam, but I buy it. You know, I feel like if you're someone, you got nothing else to do for 2 weeks, and you're like, I can get into this bar exam, and I just need to commit myself to understanding the questions, use every resource I can, and passing. I think that's achievable. I really think you can commit yourself to doing that. It's crazy. Oh, I could not give two shits. I'm definitely not doing that.
I think the ending, like is a little weak in my opinion. Not bad, but just kind of. It's kind of like the same with all the other Spielberg films we've done. It just kind of fizzles, I guess. Doesn't like, you know. We talked about the Scorsese last shots. They kind of like give a strong last impression. But this is kind of, I don't know. You get the end text and the happy-ish moment, and just kind of ends, you know.
But at what point does that stop being a fault and become a director trademark? Because like, if this happens in like most of his films, where it's kind of like a little bit of a fizzle out, you know, Munich, War of the Worlds, even Minority Report, they just kind of have this.
Yeah,
it's like a significant not step down, but like it's a significant come down from like what's been happening previously. So like if it's a directed choice, then is it? You know.
Yeah, it's definitely not a thing. You know, he screwed up multiple times. It's like he's probably doing it intentionally, or like, I don't know, maybe he, you know, he's copying movies he really likes and does this, but I still don't like it, you know. But I think it's definitely a quality of his.
For sure. It's a trademark that just doesn't vibe with you. I understand. What do I do? Oh yeah, okay. Final verdicts for Catch Me If You Can, Fitzy, and I believe you're giving scores.
7 out of 10. Kind of close to.
Sorry. But... a strong 7. Cool, Jayden.
Yeah, I think because this floats around an 8 or 9 kind of thing. Because like I remember when I initially watched it, I gave it a 9, and sometime after, in retrospect, I dropped it down a level. Yeah, I think it holds an 8 because it doesn't have that little bit of connection for it to be that 9 anymore. Yeah. I think it holds a very strong 8.
Cool. I'm surprised you're that high, to be honest. That's great. That's great. I'm an 8 too. I think it's a great movie. And yeah, I love when there's like a really popular movie like this, a Spielberg movie, a broad appealing movie, but it really delivers on everything it tries to do and is genuinely really engaging. Like because I don't want to ever, when I like to shit talk Ridley Scott as I do, I never want to come across like, oh, I just hate like Hollywood movies and I'm some sort of hipster. I never want to come across that way. It's just I think there are movies that deserve extra recognition for being able to achieve both. And if a movie's really good and it can appeal to the most amount of people possible, I think that's terrific.
I think Spielberg is like one of the most appealing directors of all time, just by design of his storytelling of ordinary people in extraordinary situations. I think that's it. It's just such an engaging thing that like everyone will go to it.
That's a great point.
And,
Actually,
like,
I can think of
it's evident in like nearly everything he's done. Like honestly, nearly everything.
Yeah,
Everything I've seen at least. I mean, like Tintin, War of the Worlds. Like Munich to a lesser extent. This Jaws, Minority Report once again to a lesser extent. Saving Private Ryan is a great one for that. Schindler's List, I guess, is follows that.
Yeah,
like
sure.
it's his trademark, and it's a brilliant one to have to be this marketable.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny how he's able to stretch that to such different genres, and because this movie fills that 100%, but it's not in the way you might think of like an E.T. or whatever, or a Jurassic Park or some shit.
Mm. Even Ready Player One in this like hyper future sci-fi thing, it still follows that ordinary kid placed in this, thing.
Absolutely. I guess the only film, just thinking off the top of my head, Indiana Jones, I don't know if I'd argue follows that, but...
I mean, he's just a professor that gets kind of thrusted into this. I mean, I think even that still...
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, to a lesser extent, he's a bit more action hero.
Yeah, you sort of get the sense he knows what he's in for, yeah. That's true, though. All right, let's get into news chat. So, was it last week we talked about Nolan's next film? How it's going to be a biography on Oppenheimer is his name, I believe, the guy who created the A bomb.
Mm-hmm.
So, a bit of an update. Mr. Nolan has chosen his studio. He did indeed follow up on his threats to leave old mate Warner Brothers. He has chosen Universal as his next film, as his next studio to finance his film. So, this is an interesting story. We're already starting to debate it before we recorded. We're like, let's not. Fitzy was like, let's save it. So, essentially, Nolan gets an $100 million budget for this movie, with, of course, the standard, double in marketing budget. He gets total creative control, 20% of first dollar gross, a blackout period from which the studio wherein the company would not release another movie 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after its release, and at least a 100-day theatrical window. And the article I'm reading from says, for comparison, Marvel's Shang-Chi has a 45-day theatrical window at the moment. So that's over double, if you can do math. So Universal met his criteria, clearly, which is interesting. The Hollywood Reporter claims that the 3 main competitors vying for his for this deal with him were Apple, Sony, and Universal. Universal obviously won. Apple reportedly would not budge on the theatrical window request, but we were happy to meet everything else. And Sony apparently was also happy to meet everything, as Universal was, but obviously there was, for some reason, Nolan chose Universal over Sony. Maybe it was just, could be for any reason, any personal reason.
I think Universal has that bit more old Hollywood appeal that Sony doesn't have,
That's true.
I feel like that could be a factor in his choice.
Totally, yeah. Or maybe, yeah, absolutely that. Or I don't know, maybe he just knows people there and has better relationships with people there. That would also make a lot of sense. I know.
Probably makes more sense.
Oh, I think both are valid. I think Sony seems to be sort of, when they picked up Tarantino recently, they seem to be sort of making strides in that area, you know. So I thought maybe Nolan would see that and think something about it, but who knows? Obviously not. So, yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. It's cool. The relationship with Warner Brothers has officially ended after all this time. So that's probably the biggest thing. Anyway, so Jane, we were talking about it a bit earlier. Do you want to expand on your thoughts on this?
I can't believe the 3 weeks post and pre-release as a blackout. That's like, that'd be a deal break for me. I would like, as a studio, I don't care who you'd be, but to take a risk of releasing one movie for 6 weeks, that's like that's ridiculous. Like, I'd give you 2 weeks at a maximum, and even then, you know, it'd have to be the most extraordinary of people. But 3 weeks plus minus of no film release, that's, I can't imagine doing that as a studio.
It's definitely significant. There's no doubt. What the only thing that makes me curious about this, about that particular point, I'm trying to get it up right now, is I just want to know, like, what their calendar normally looks like, you know, because I'm not familiar enough with, like, every film a studio puts out, like how frequent releases normally are, you know. So I'm just curious, because if it is a situation where it's like they do normally put out a film every 4 weeks, then it'd be like, holy shit. But I'm not too sure, to be honest, because I obviously, and by the way, Fast and Furious is Universal, so that's really the only thing I'm familiar with. So I'm not really equipped as of this moment to answer that question. But yeah, obviously very significant demands. But hey, every studio, well, you know, most studios would be obviously incredibly interested in having him, and Sony were also willing to seemingly do this. So he had suitors, you know. I don't think it was a situation where he was struggling for someone necessarily, you know.
Yeah, I think the 100 million is interesting as well, because like obviously we know like bare all, but like, how much was the budget for Tenet?
I believe it was 220 or something of that nature. Something close to that.
So it's a massive. Okay, I don't know. 100 million for a biography still seems like a lot, which is really interesting to me. So where that goes, I think will be.
No, you're absolutely right about that. So Tenet, I'm just looking now, had a $200 million budget. You sort of look back, I see here Inception had a $160 million budget, but that was, you know, 10 years ago. I don't know what that's worth now. That's probably over 200 million now. So that's all interesting. Either way, it sort of does work to about half of a traditional Nolan budget, which is, yeah, but you're totally right though, for what the film is itself. Like, you feel like traditionally, if the studio were approached with that premise of a film, then they'd probably be used to putting something like 30 million into it or something, maybe.
Yeah, I think like, because it is Nolan, I think we can assume it's more than just a hyper focused biography. I do guess there's going to be a greater comeuppance.
Have
you got any comments, Fitzy? Any thoughts?
I guess the budget could be used on, like, you know, a atom bomb kind of scene, I guess.
Buying an atom bomb.
He's going to actually detonate an A-bomb.
No, like, you know, CGI or whatever.
He's actually going to nuke Japan.
Dude, Nolan's like, bro, he's not doing CG. He's not doing it. He's going to actually nuke somewhere.
Where's a safe place on Earth that you can nuke?
Fucking middle of Australia. There's like...
Just do it at Ez Rock. No one gives a shit.
Like 95% of Australia can be nuked and nothing to change.
Do you guys think it'll be in black and white? I think there's a chance it could be in black and white.
That's a good question. If I were to bet, I would say no. If I were to bet, but I mean, of all the films he's done, it's probably the most likely. That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. I mean, if he wants me to give it 5 stars, he better not, because there's like, I've got a no 5-star rule on black and white films. But you know, depends how much he values my opinion, I guess.
No, I don't think he will. Yeah, I think his films tend to have like this progression of scale, but when you're kind of taking this step back, is going into black and white too much of a regression?
Yeah, sure.
Who was the DP on Shape of Water? Was it?
Oh shit.
Because I know that Del Toro wanted to do that in black and white as well, and I think they did a lot of prep for black and white, so but they ended up with color. So I could actually imagine a similar treatment of this film where they do like black and white tests or something like that. But then I think budget would be
Sure.
a factor as well, to be honest.
True. Yeah, yeah. And it's also just black and white films are just inherently less accessible, aren't they? For a
Yeah,
$100 million budget to put into that would probably be pretty terrifying.
yeah.
We also have, of course, okay, let's just do it. The Hawkeye trailer. What did you think of it, Jayden? Did you enjoy this trailer?
I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know anything about the series apart from Haley Steinfeld was good. I honestly didn't know Jeremy Renner was going to be in it. I thought this was going to be like a complete new story in that universe. But I quite like what it looks like it's going to be. It looks like a fun Christmas adventure. You know, it does genuinely look good. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, for me, like, do I trust this show's going to be good? Not necessarily. You know, I don't mean to be a negative Nancy, but I'm just like, but nothing I saw here was like, okay, I trust that this show is going to be like something I really like. But like, I don't know if any trailer for it was going to be able to pull that off. And I'm just really glad, to your point, that I'm glad it has a tone. You know, I feel like on paper, like a Hawkeye trailer came out, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, I could sort of imagine it's just going to be another one of these like Falcon Winter Soldier style tone things, but it actually has an interesting sort of, tone, look, feel to it. So that interests me way more initially right off the bat. How did you feel about it, Fitzy?
Pleasantly surprised as well. I enjoyed the light Christmas vibes. Still never watch it, but you know, it interests me more than if it was like some serious, you know, as you said, Falcon and the Captain Falcon thing. That's what I call it, Sheriff, in my head, Captain Falcon.
Yeah, I mean, my mild skepticism towards the show has nothing to do with the show itself necessarily. You know, it's just more got to do with the track record of these Marvel MCU shows so far, on Disney Plus. That is, like, it's just for me. You know, I think I'll probably check it out if people like it. I'm glad it has a tone, like I said, but I'm glad it has a tone, which is a funny sentence. But I'm just, you know, I feel a little burnt, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Like, I watched all 3 of these live action shows so far week to week. And in my opinion, you know, I didn't dislike them. I enjoyed some more than others. But I just overall have felt so far like these haven't been worth my time. Overall, generally speaking. So I just, as a result of that coming off those ones, I just sort of inherently am not as excited as I probably want to be for this, you know. So, but I hope it's awesome. As always, I hope everything's awesome.
WandaVision was the only one I was excited for, and like the other 2 I couldn't give a shit about. But like after post release, like it's kind of the opposite of where like WandaVision was really an underwhelming experience. Like it was an interesting concept, but like it was just a boring show. And I feel like each one following has been a step up. So
Sure.
I don't know if it's gonna be better, like, because I do really like Loki, like, because that just feels tailored to me personally. So I don't know if it would be better than that, but like if it follows a trend, then I'll this should be something I quite enjoy.
I think you're not alone. I think most people feel the way you do, and it makes sense. You know,
really hate how like I was like so adamant to swear off the MCU like post Avengers. I was like, no, I'm just not gonna care about it anymore. But like it just demands your attention, especially like if you're talking about film week to week. Like it's such a significant part of the industry to say that you kind of have to keep up with it.
I don't. That's a great point. I don't agree. I don't think you have to keep up with it literally, but in terms of, I think that's what you say about it demanding your attention is 100% true. Oh yeah, sorry, I was about to move on, but we also have the Nightmare Alley teaser trailer. Fitz, you watched it. What's going on? This is Bradley Cooper and Del Toro, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a great trailer. Yeah, I don't know what it's about or anything, but yeah, very circus, surreal kind of interesting vibes. I don't know if they were saying that like Bradley Cooper is the beast or whatever, but no, yeah, it looks interesting. I've only seen like one Del Toro film, but I like it, so I like him. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is a remake. I don't think this is his own property. I think it's a remake of something old, but like,
Oh, okay.
From the look, I feel like this could be his best work, which is interesting to say considering like his decorated past of like Pan's Labyrinth being, foreign picture winner and Shape of Water obviously getting best picture, but like I feel like this may not be his most loved work, but I think it can be his best work because this trailer just has so much personality in a way that, like, obviously all his films do in his unique style, but like this really does feel like it can just be a step above like everything.
That sounds awesome. Is this Bradley Cooper's here? Is there other notable actors? I thought there was, but I can't recall.
Yeah, there's Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara and Toni Collette and
Oh wow,
old mate from Shape of Water. I forget his name. Richard Jenkins, I think. Was he in the trailer? I think he was.
Willem Dafoe.
Richard Jenkins.
Oh yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. Oh my. Wow. Oh, stacked. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Fitzy, what have you been watching, bro? Do you want to do like a joint night house thing?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. Sure.
You can kick it off if you like. We'll work together here on this one.
The Night House. I enjoyed the Night House. I thought, I guess, like the concept was pretty interesting, and like the execution sometimes was interesting. I don't know. You start. I'll think of some things to say.
Sure. I enjoyed it. I think it's a movie actually that I don't like it less. It doesn't stick with me as much as I thought it would a week later. Like it's more forgettable than I thought it would be right after walking out. But I still enjoyed it. I would still recommend it. It's pretty. It's good. There's some good tension. There's some cool, freaky, psychological shit that you'd sort of want and expect from a horror film of this nature. Rebecca Hall's solid. The story is good for me. I don't know if I found the narrative like totally gripping. I wasn't like just enthralled by what the hell is this? I need to solve this mystery. What the hell's going on? You know what I mean? I was sort of more sitting there enjoying the thrills, enjoying the tension with mild curiosity about the story, And it's one of those. I feel like there's almost. I don't know if this is a criticism, but I feel like there's almost now, at least in my very limited experience with horror. Jane will be able to speak to this much better, probably, but I feel like there's almost like this genre of horror, which is like psychological, crazy high concept horror, which is all linked back to like a simple theme, if that makes sense. Which it sounds like a weird thing to say, but if I think about Relic, which is a perfect example of like, oh, this crazy thing, what's going on in this house, this crazy mystery, this shit's wild. And then by the end, at the end, it all like the final scene very much just cements what the film is actually about, and I think The Night House does exactly the same thing. Not about the same topic by any means, but in terms of that, following that formula of like creating intrigue, what the hell is going on, and then you realize all the psychological shit is linked to like just a real world emotional theme that is very black and white. That's not a criticism. It's just a weird observation I've had. I feel like I've seen that a few times now. So it does that. But I did enjoy what that ended up being, just like I did in Relic as well. So yeah, I quite liked it. Does that compute with you, Fitzy?
I think Rebecca Hall is really great in the film. She's definitely. I mean, no one else really stands out, I guess, but she's great in the film. I wish it like there may be like hints at different concepts and ideas and like the cult stuff, like the different, I don't know, like geometries of the house and stuff, and like weird, interesting ideas that doesn't really go into, and the dream sequences with the I don't know, the hallway shots of the faces.
They were good. I like them.
Yeah, they were good, but I feel like they just needed a bit more of that, of those interesting ideas, or like visual ideas to make it a bit better. But for the most part, like Rebecca Hall plays like a grieving widow, I guess, grieving person, really, really well. But yeah,
No, I totally agree with you. We did the thing.
we did the thing.
What about you, Jayden?
I think I only watched. Let me check if I watched something else because what I watched was really fucking shit, so I don't want to talk about it. But might be forced to. Oh no, I actually watched a few things because I forgot about the weekend. But I also watched Halloween, the 2007 remake by Rob Zombie, and that is garbage. That is hot garbage. It is dog shit. It's one of the most like. Look, obviously it's horror, so and it's a slasher, so you expect this gore, but it's just vile, but it's vile in like a way that, not in a horror way, but just in a I don't know. It's really just shit, and it's so dated. It's like it's like it was made in 2007, but it feels so much more dated than what the 70s one is, and like it's just. It's just poorly acted, and the writing's crap, and the direction's weird, and like, I don't know. I really wish I never watched that film. It's just dog shit, and like I'm still gonna watch the second one for completion's sake. But like it's, I just can't stand it. And like this is 30-minute prologue. I mean, I don't even, it's not really a prologue if it's that long, but like. Like this kind of like rewriting of law, and like that's not necessarily a bad thing of rewriting law, but like it's just so odd and poor and vile, like I said, and it's just it's just horrid. I really can't go on more than that. Like it's just a really bad film, and like I've seen, like it seems to be a bit divisive amongst the fans, and like how. It's a true adaptation, or like it's got a bit of a cult status now. But I just it's really bad. Just
Avoid at all costs is the motto of the story. I take it.
Yeah, especially for you. Like I would never recommend this to someone like you, like at all. And like I wouldn't even. Cool. No, like I straight up wouldn't recommend it. But like for you. Definitely not. Like never even like think about it.
I'll take that to heart for sure. All right. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you what is some of your least favourite trends in modern Hollywood. Andy said, my least favourite trend in modern Hollywood movies is drone shots. That's it, drone shots. What happened to the cool helicopter establishing aerial shots that filmmakers used to have back in the days? That's an interesting one. I don't know. Can you tell the difference?
I think.
I guess you can.
I think there's this kind of speed that the camera moves with the drone shots that's different to the helicopter.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
That's actually a really interesting one. That's a really interesting one.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it bothers me, but I've never actually thought about the distinction between the two things, and I guess they sort of are different. I think back to some of the opening shots of The Thing, and films of that era. That does sort of have a different feel, I suppose. I've never thought about it.
Well, even like The Dark Knight opens up with like a heli shot like of Gotham, doesn't it? Yeah, and like I feel like you can like that feels like really pensive and deliberate, whereas a drone shot feels more erratic. I feel like there is a distinction that can be made.
Yeah, that's true. And even if you think to Insomnia and Interstellar, which is, I believe, the same location they shot for those films. So, but yeah, those like glacier shots, yeah, doesn't really capture the same thing as just a drone.
Even Transformers, like the first 2007 one, like as they're flying over the desert. Like it's
Wow.
you wouldn't get like the same feeling with his drone. No, Andy's onto something there. I don't think I agree with it, but like he's onto something.
Andy, you need to write an essay about this, and everyone needs to be exposed to this point because, yeah, I agree. You're onto something. Reflected Bot wrote in and said, "My least favorite trend is Disney Plus constantly bringing out Marvel TV shows. It defeats the purpose of what Marvel Cinematic Universe stands for, and you're just going to let Scorsese win his MCU is not cinema thing." That's fair.
Also
That's fair.
very fair.
Actually, that is true. It is the cinematic universe. They're trying to bring the cinema to the small screen on Disney Plus with those really bad VFX shots in WandaVision, of course.
Hold on. What VFX shots are you talking about?
Just the whole end. Just the whole.
Oh, right. Yeah. Again. No, okay. That's fair. Yeah. Forget about that.
Yeah. Aiden said, "I'm concerned Ryan Reynolds will be overutilized. I like him as an actor and the roles he plays, but I don't know if numerous clones of every similar movie, of very similar movies will give him the same magic." That's just Aiden's first one. Andy, Aiden, not Andy Aiden, I'm sorry, has a very similar list. Really good. I am breaking down. It's fine. Aiden's other points are actors' names on the post are visually out of order.
Mm-hmm.
That is perfect. That is perfect. Shitty fight scene trends include that range close-up and very close-up shots so that your eyes have to look around the whole frame. Hurts especially in cinemas. Yeah, that's true. Way too many rapid cuts. You want time to appreciate the choreography and weight of the punch. Luke said, "A Hollywood trend that gets on my nerves at times is the inability for some films to be scientifically literate. It's super cliche to just throw the word quantum, entanglement, paradox, etc., and try to explain without proper consultation with a resident physicist. I understand that you need to suspend belief for some films at times, but sometimes they are just asking too much. Pictures, intentional noun just for you, Zach. Thanks, Luke. That can balance the science while also not rely on it for narratives are the goal. Still haven't seen Interstellar, so I'll be interested to see how their exploration of relativity works." That's a perfect Luke answer. Doesn't bother me personally because I know nothing about science, but you're not alone on that one. I see that complaint often. Fitzy, what is your least favorite Hollywood trend?
Well, I just thought of this now, so it's probably not good. But
I'm sure it's fine.
Like really dark cinematography where you can't see anything, I guess, would be one. Or like, actually no, I just thought of this. Like darker toned films that think they're more like serious just because they're darker, but they're not more quality. They're just trying to be more serious.
That's good. I like that. That's a good point because I feel like, looking back to today's review, I feel like there's a version of Catch Me If You Can based on that true story that you can make that is sort of darker and stuff. But, I mean, this movie's lighthearted and funny, and I don't think any of that holds it back from being a great movie.
Yeah, like it's still sad. It still has emotion and,
absolutely
weight to it. It's not like you
That's
have to make
point.
a very dire film for it to be... Actually, that's another thing. Like, I feel like some film critics or people associate, depressing films with good films, and like, I don't know. YMS does that a lot, I guess, but that's like YMS, Your Movie Sucks. Okay. I mean, I really like him, but that's not really a Hollywood trend, though. I got off the track.
I mean, sort of. No, I mean, maybe not strictly Hollywood, but I think it's a storytelling trend. I think it's a filmmaking trend. Mine is the rise of anime in the mainstream. No, it's not. Mine is. I'm going to be very careful in how I word this because I feel like this argument is very common and arguably the most generic answer to this question. but I want to take it specifically, and that is reboots. Okay, and I don't mean when someone argues this normally, it's like, well, I can't stand all these reboots and sequels and Disney shows and all that stuff. Like, I just take that sort of thing on a case by case basis. You know, I'm not a hater of. I'm not reflected, but I'm not a hater necessarily of all these MCU shows coming out. Right, like watch what you want to watch. That's great, but and especially for I honestly sequels less so to an extent. But what I'm talking about is these studios reviving these old movies, this IP that no one gives a shit about anymore, or wanting to do it in a way that it just feels when it's egregious, I guess is the easiest way to sum it up. And by that I mean I'm researching for news chat for this show. You know, I scroll through the news, as does Jayden, and whenever I see like, you know, Die Hard 67 is in the works at 20th Century Fox or whatever, you know what I mean? When I see just that bloody dog shit movie I watched the other day, He's All That, which is a reboot of a 90s movie that no one watched, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, there's a line, okay? The MCU is popular. I've got nothing against the MCU. I've got nothing against the Matrix 4. I've got nothing against these big things that I feel like have a reason for existing. I don't know. Studios need to recognize when to let things die. Is my contention. Okay, if something has a reason for existing, let it exist a million times. That's awesome. If something has no reason for existing, I don't. And I've never seen Die Hard. I highly doubt another Die Hard sequel has a reason for existing.
Oh, you haven't seen Die Hard?
No, never seen a single one.
Oh, okay.
Jayden, what is yours?
Mine's a kind of interesting one. I'm not an idiot. I get that movies take years to make, so it's rare for them to be straight copycats or money grabs or whatever. But like, mine is kind of this like modern Hollywood trend of like bandwagon production, I guess is how I describe it. You know, so like I've got like examples of like, oh, you know, like, so like taking like Stranger Things as my first example. You know, this
Sure.
80s set, you know, focusing on young teens dealing with this like malignant force. Oh, that like seemed really successful. Here, have a bunch of them. Here's It, which I love. Have Summer of '84, which is decent. Have Dark, you know. Have Fear Street, you know. Like it is kind of just pumping out the same type of thing, you know. Like it's not just with that, you know. It's like, did this studio put out a slow burn horror with a small cast set in European forest? Let's make 13 of them, which I will love, but still, it's kind of oversaturation. That's this real problem, you know. Even like with Jordan Peele as well recently, you know, Jordan Peele kind of came out the gates and has immediately set himself with this really recognizable and incredible tone of filmmaking and style that is already being replicated so fast in like, you know, with that Amazon series of them, or that's just evident in other products, you know. So like, it's just kind of like, and it's like, I don't know how to describe like bandwagon production, I guess is what I landed on, of just like that seems successful. So I guess I'm saying trends themselves are what I'm is the modern Hollywood trend that I don't like, but like, yeah, you know.
That makes a ton of sense. We've talked about it before, but the Jordan Peele one is a great example because it's mainly because it is so recent. Like Get Out was in 2018.
17.
You know,
16.
was it?
Hold on,
Whoa,
17.
really?
I think 17.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Either way, though, still incredibly recent. You know what I mean? This is how quick stuff like that can happen. So that's a great one. I totally agree. Oh yeah, it is 17. Shit, sorry. I can't believe I got that wrong. As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comments section. Send us a DM on Instagram or join our Discord community. The specific question we'll be asking you this week is, who is your favourite Spider-Man? We expect strong takes on this one, please, everyone. I know we'll be bringing strong takes for our answers. I can guarantee that. So hopefully you can back us up. That's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
Spider-Man 2001? Two? 2002.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't really know what the movie's about, but I think it's a goblin, and we'll see.
I think there's that performance from that guy, William Dafoe, that I really like.
Well, yeah.
He's great. He's great. All right, that's going to be exciting. Thanks, guys, for joining me as always. And you know what? I say that all the time at the end of every episode. I just want to. I don't want it to become like just I just say it every time because it's on the list of things to say. Like I really do appreciate your time, especially when we have tech issues. I love doing the show with you guys. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone else. Have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.